Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem B'Kakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who are teaching this truth and sincerity. And a shout out to Yakims out there on the four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem B'Kakadash, Barak. So, Salakia, if you haven't seen me on YouTube for a while, it's just that there's just so much stuff that I can cover on YouTube that are on BitChute that I can never cover on YouTube. But this, well, we knew this day was coming, right? So it's about to happen. Biden administration preparing to announce new Chinese virus restrictions for the unvaxxed. So, you know, pretty much we knew that it was going to happen, you know. That it wasn't just going to be certain cities, it's going to be a nationwide, you know, and this lockdown is going to be in the essence of, okay, you won't be able to do anything unless you show you've been vaxxed. You know, causing all both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. The Biden administration could be preparing to announce new restrictions that will apply to the unvaxxed, according to reports. Joe Biden will make a new announcement today regarding the measures, but they were previewed yesterday by White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki. Psaki was asked if there would be new measures would impact the lives, to which she responded, depends on if you're vaxxed or not. So, this is what's coming down the pike. We knew this was happening.
There will be new steps the president announces tomorrow, absolutely.
Those new steps influence the average American's day-to-day life. Should we expect any new mitigation recommendations, as an example?
It depends on if you're vaccinated or not.
Piece of shit. So, it's going to happen. You know what he wants, a microscopic tag to be implanted in everyone. That's his ultimate goal. Well, how do you think he's going to do it? Incrementally. Biden to announce new mandates for federal workers and large employers. So, that's another part of this. Fuck President Biden on Thursday will impose stringent new rules on federal workers and large employers in a sweeping attempt to contain the latest surge of the Chinese virus hoax. The president plans to sign an executive order requiring all government employees to be vaxxed, with no option of being regularly tested to opt out. White House said Thursday, so there you go. Executive orders. You thought Obama was bad. Los Angeles poised to mandate student Vanessa in nation's second largest school district. Officials in Los Angeles are set to consider mandatory vaccination for students ages 12 and up in the city's public school system, the second largest district in the country. Well, you already know what Biden's planning, so there you go, man. It would be by far the largest school district in the country to take this step. So there you have it. Don't forget, Moo is coming out, you know. Moo. But the Vanessa doesn't even help you with Moo. Biden to deliver 6-step plan on the Chinese virus pandemic. So this is going to be followed up, as you know. On September 9, fuck President Biden on Thursday will outline new approaches to control the Chinese virus pandemic, which rages on. Yeah. So Biden will focus on 6 areas, including new plans for more people to be vaxxed. Yeah, going to take away all your rights that you thought that you had, but you really never had them, you know. The only thing you have is the right to remain silent because you're not really supposed to speak out against them. You have been warned. Unvaxxed Australians told they'll remain under lockdown, so it's indefinite detention. And there's this piece of shit. Australians who have not received the vaccine will remain under lockdown indefinitely, while those who have been jabbed will see some of their freedoms returned. Just some, not all of them. Yeah. So, there you have it, man. It's about to happen over here too. As you know, what Biden wants, a microscopic tag to be implanted in everyone.
I want to stress that whilst today the New South Wales government is outlining our plan, our roadmap.
I bet they are. It ain't good day, mate. This fucking piece of shit, man. It's mandating everything. And I bet you they fucking cut my internet. How much you want to bet? Well, it doesn't matter anyways.
Way forward in New South Wales, that we're definitely not out of the woods. We know that case numbers are likely to peak in the next week or so.
Yeah,
we
because you're going to cook it.
hospital.
You're going to cook the test. I'm not going to wait for that piece of shit. You get the idea anyways. Also, public health chief says the contact tracing part of a new world order. Yeah. Oh, this ugly dude. This dude says it's all part of the new world order. Let's see if I can get this dude to play.
Will exposure sites be put back in place, especially with reopening and people going back to pubs and stuff? Because our exposure sites still, will they be put back in place to be listed once we are reopening?
And what do you know? It doesn't want to play. Do I want to wait for it? But anyway, that's what he said. I'm pretty sure this is a dude. And one ugly dude, too. Fact checkers have regularly debunked claims connected to the conspiracy theory, claimed the explainer. The phrase is regularly used to times the change of cultural shift. So let's see if this one will play. Probably not. Forget it. You wouldn't understand anyways. But we do understand. Either way, though, you know that Biden's announcement for the New World Order will be later on Thursday. Thursday night fire weather watch upgraded to red flag warning for most of Northern California. Flex alert issued as of 10:45. And this is mostly dealing with Mendocino County and southeast Humboldt counties. The fire weather watch issued Wednesday due to dry lightning. See, they're going to blame it on lightning strikes, but these are really plans to burn California. So, any place you're thinking of escaping where you think you're going to get off the grid, they're burning all of it. And they're doing it on purpose. Just pray the Most High be with you. Democratic voters are showing more turnout than Republican voters in the fuck governor's recall. So that's pretty funny. I think they're tired of that piece of shit. Yeah, you can't play anything, not this piece of shit. It's a fuckhole. Biden requiring federal workers to get the shot. Well, why would I want to listen to that douchebag? I'd be like, fuck you! And I've said it time and time again. Fuck you! Fuck Joe Biden! Fuck Joe Biden! President Joe Biden on Thursday is toughening the requirements for federal workers and contractors as he aims to boost Vanessa and curb the surging Delta. And don't forget, moo! But it doesn't work against moo! Well, anyhow, main suspect tells Paris attacks trial he's an Islamic State soldier. So you see, gonna hear more about Islamic State, especially after that false flag claims of ISIS with a K, you know? Yeah, this is all staged. So, you know that they stage events like this and be expected to see more, you know? Well, this seemed to work yesterday, so I think I might just be doing this. It'll save me some time, and yet you can still look at videos, but, you know, hey,
we're going to move to a situation where, to protect the health system,
this is the New World Order.
People who are not vaccinated and can be. If you're making the choice not to get vaccinated,
the structure is here.
Then you're making the wrong choice. You're making the wrong choice. And for safety's sake, and for the back to that point,
United States is about to look like Australia.
Absolutely a pandemic of the unvaccinated, and we open everything up. It's not going to be safe for people who are not vaccinated to be roaming around the place spreading the virus. That's what they'll be doing. So there's every reason.
You know, Biden's going to say the same thing.
To get vaccinated, and there are appointments available, and there'll be even more appointments available throughout September, October,
As soon as I get the Biden speech, we'll break it down
as fast as we possibly can.
Try to get it for
it's going to be a vaccinated economy. and you get to participate in that if you are vaccinated.
They didn't lock you down for your safety. They locked you down to train you how to be a slave. They released the virus. It's all coming out. Fauci ordered the chimeric creation of SARS-CoV-2.
The very real threat of World War III is happening all around us as China sends its nuclear bombers into Taiwan's airspace. Looting is taking place in New Orleans.
See,
and
he
this
knows
isn't
what's
being
going on.
discussed on the media.
He knows
because
more
they
than
don't
you
want
two-thirds.
the servants, being afraid for yourselves. We are witnessing right now a massive change across our world, a time when food prices go up, quality in everything decreases. It becomes hard for you to purchase things like a washer machine, air conditioner. And this is happening during the world's largest financial crisis and a time that is going to change the world for your children. Like you, we are getting ready. In fact, you'll hear behind me the beeping of large machinery and trucks that are starting to get things prepared where they are needed. We are entering into a time of change, a time where you as an individual need to start thinking about your family, how you're going to defend them, how you're going to defend your land, what you're going to do when people come to steal the things that you have, just like what is taking place in New Orleans, in Louisiana, in the United States right now. The sheriff, multiple police departments started warning during the crisis of Hurricane Ida that these events were taking place. And we only knew this because we were listening. We were monitoring the police feeds. We were watching social media where individuals were warning that my house was looted, my car was looted, my shop was looted, my workplace was looted. It happened over and over again. And now we're seeing the police finally come forward and saying that more than 40 individuals have been apprehended. If history tells you anything, it's that if 40 individuals have been apprehended, then 120, maybe 240 individuals were doing this. Predators are going to predate during every crisis. It does the mainstream or it does the local government good to not warn you about these things, because otherwise you won't call the police when something happens. You won't call a first responder at every scratch. They want that dependency. They don't want you to think that you have to defend yourself, because after all, that's what your tax-paying money goes toward, is paying the police department to keep you safe. Very few times in our current world are we seeing these events unfold in an ideal way. We are watching right now the greatest unraveling in the Western world. A time where individuals thought that their biggest concern in life was what was happening to celebrities on television and how they would get their Frappuccino either delivered to them or picked up by a good friend and brought to them. We are moving out of a world of cushioned living and into the one that the rest of the world has had to experience for the last 20, 50, 100, 300 years, a time when change is washing across the United States of America. And this is happening all the while we are seeing an increase in the likelihood that we are going to enter into a new world war. Not just a regional war, not just a national conflict. We are talking about a world war, a time when allied pacts bring in countries across the world and their militaries fight it out over different homelands. I want you to be ready for that type of thing to happen, because when that does, when that balloon finally goes up, when that line in the sand is finally crossed, that is when your world changes overnight. China recently flew nuclear bombers, anti-aircraft, anti-submarine aircraft. They flew fighter jets into Taiwan's airspace, according to the Taiwan Defense Ministry. And with any of our topics that we talk about here on this channel, I want you to just go type in that type of information. China flies nuclear bomber into Taiwan. You're going to find dozens and dozens of articles. That's not what this channel is about. It's not just about talking about those events. It's about how you get ready for those things and what the events of the world mean for you and your family. Because as the world goes to war, that means your world changes overnight. Your price of food goes up. It balloons up to something you have never seen before. Your availability of goods goes down to levels that you have never witnessed before. 90%, 80 to 90% of all over-the-counter medicine and the medicines that keep the Western cultures alive into the 70s and 80s and 90s, even amidst the worst dietary habits in the world, come from China, come from India. And so when those supply chains stop, that's when you have a real world without rule of law, the end of the world as you knew it. The stuff just hit the fan taking place across the country and across the world. That's the time that you need to get ready for, because that time is almost here. Just a year ago, you saw that across the world, as rioters took to the streets, looting was widespread. The police largely didn't act. They couldn't act because there were too many of them versus too few of the police. That is the world of your future. That is the future of your world.
Yeah, because they're not going to get the
You need to start
inoculation
thinking
either.
about every grocery trip, every supermarket resupply. What does it mean? Should you get more than you have to get? Should you get enough so that if you can't go back for 2 weeks or 4 weeks, you will have enough? You should be topping up your pantry. Make sure that you are getting those canned goods, because with Guinea's recent coup attempt, may have been a full coup, you were going to see the price of aluminum skyrocket. That means, and Campbell's already warned that just with what they were seeing, you were going to see the price of chicken soup, price of all their soups skyrocket.
So get it
imagine
while
now
you
that the
still
raw
can,
cost of
just like
aluminum
this
goes
word.
up. You're going to look at one can of soup costing you, what, $3? This is a time that you need to start getting
Look
ready
at
for.
tuna and chicken, that went up. So anyhow, this is another fire in the Palisades area, as they're just letting it burn. You can best believe they're using energy-busting bombs, like Tesla coils. So you will see houses destroyed and trees still standing, just like you did with the car fire. I'm not going to watch the whole bit, but you're just going to get a general idea. And these people should have fucking pulled out of there way before the fire department came. Retards. Yeah, those houses are about to get destroyed. If they were fighting fires, they might have actually prevented the fire from getting up that close. But I report, you decide. Looks like they're letting it burn. You know, this is a time like no other. Yeah, and it's just going to increasingly get worse.
Parental permission.
Now switching over to Apostle Tahar, because we're in that time now, as you know. Hey, it's going to happen in an hour you don't, that you know not, but it is coming. And like everything else, though, we're seeing the beginning of Jacob's trouble. We've been in the beginning of Jacob's trouble, and it's just going to intensify here on out. You already know that America's going to look like Australia very soon. And you know how bad it is there. These transvestites are making all the rules. Because that's who Esau Edom is, a place of Sodom and Egypt spiritually. We're here. It's about to come to its head.
Babylon the Great is fallen. Giving all praise to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua B'Shem Kakodash. Right now we're in, as of last night, we are in the new moon. And we are also in the trumpets, the memorial blowing of the trumpets, which is the celebration of all the new moons of the year. This would be the top new moon, if you will. Anyway, so we're in the Sabbath, new Sabbath cycle. As of 9/6 or September 6, 2021, the year of the coming of the hastening of the coming of Yahweh Hashem Shai. That's when the new moon came in. So I was going to go into Revelation 18, one of my favorite chapters, and I came across a video that Apostle Aramla was doing, entitled The Mistress of, I believe. You can go to that. And he was going into Revelation 18 as I was even thinking about it, and said I want to do a video on it. I'm not going to go through the whole breakdown. I might come back and do that. You know, if people want to understand other parts of verses of Revelation 18, you can come on the comment board. Anyway, it's a fairly simple breakdown, but it's straight and to the point. That's why I love this chapter, and I meditate on it quite a bit, because this is the actual end of Esau's system. Anyway, I'm gonna kind of jump around. Anyway, it says the first verse, and after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a loud voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, has become the habitation of devils. Now, High Priest Ariel used to teach that this is when Esau, 14, 15, 1600s, when they came over here and they took down Gad, that's when these devils came in. That's not talking about that. And it never sat with me when the High Priest Ariel taught that. What this is talking about is when this system goes down, when the missiles hit, when the angels come, when the Lord, Michael, the archangels, and an innumerable amount of angels come and destroy this place, Babylon the Great. And the deliverance will take place simultaneously while this place is being destroyed. You had a couple people come on one of my videos, a couple of my videos, asking about the rapture before the great tribulation. Well, it's the rapture, if you will, which is not even biblical. That's a word that Esau came up with. Rapture is not in the scriptures. But rapture means to take away. Loosely translated. And so what they're saying is there's going to be a rapture, and then there's going to be a 7-year tribulation. There's not going to be no 7-year tribulation. The so-called rapture and the so-called tribulation is going to take place all at the same time. Concurrently is the word. Anyway, it says, second verse, Revelation 18, verse 2, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit. So devils are talking about spirits, if you will. And the hold of every foul spirit, animal, desert-like creatures, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Unclean bird is a scavenger. So if you go to any desert on the planet Earth and you put animals in the desert, you're going to get these same animals. These desert-like creatures. It says in the third verse, for all nations have drunk of the wine. Now, drunk of the wine of the wrath of a fornication is not talking about actual wine. is talking about her philosophy. When you go back like 2,000 years ago, you had Rome, which was an empire, and you had people that were taken over by that empire became Romanized. During the time of the Maccabees and Antiochus Epiphanes, you had people become Greeks or Greekized, for lack of a better way of saying it. Well, with America, you become Americanized. If you go around the world, let's say you go to Egypt to see the pyramids. If you were to take a picture of the pyramids and you pan the camera behind you, you're going to see these American-based businesses, especially the foods, the Burger Kings, the McDonald's, the KFCs, the Arby's. These big franchises are all around the world, in Japan and China. So these people became Americanized just like they became Romanized or Greekized. You know, you see, I remember one time, this was maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when even before that, when the Chinese people became rich, and the car of choice was a Buick, which is not a rich man's car, but they equate being wealthy with driving around in a Buick, not a Lincoln or a Cadillac or Mercedes or a Rolls Royce. They believe the symbol, you know, for opulence and being rich is a Buick, because a Buick is the so-called all-American car. You know, GMC, Ford, Chrysler. Anyway, it says, third verse, for all nations have drunk of the wine. So the wine, we know the wine represents the philosophy, the thinking of this place, which is America. You come into a lot of money, Taiwan, China, Hong Kong, Japan, different parts of Europe. You live that life. You dress like you have a lot of these Japanese, Chinese, these various nations. How do they dress? They don't dress in their former garbs of the past. They dress like Americans. They wear suits and ties. They get the most expensive shoes that they can get. So they became Americanized. So they drunk the wine of the wrath of fornication. Fornication, when you look the word fornication up, it really means adultery. Porneia, which means adultery. If you lay with a woman that's married to another man, that's adultery. If a woman that's not married lays with a man that is married, that's not adultery. And this is something these swacky-tacky, stupid-ass Christians, guys like Vocab Malone. I remember when Vocab Malone and his motley crew was down there confronting us, a woman had walked by. And we didn't look at her in a sexual way, we just noticed a woman walk by and we looked, and I believe it was Vocab that said, you got to be careful, you know, that's adultery. And I attempted to explain to this clown that adultery, when the Lord made that statement, you know, it's sin, it's adultery to even look at a woman. Well, it's really talking about how can you commit adultery by looking at a woman, even laying with a woman that's not married. That's not adultery. Adultery takes place if a man if a man and a woman is together. They're dealing with each other. They're married. If you deal with that woman, you break wedlock, and the penalty of that is the quick death. See, you people in America, especially you Israelites, that's why I see why the Most High is going to take the majority of you Israelites out. Because you're all fucked up in the head and you're Americanized. That's why you got all out of, especially you conscious people. You conscious people are all fucked up in the head. And no Israelite should give them the time of day. The fuck you giving them the time of day for, man? The hell with them people. The Most High is going to get them chipped, and then he's going to dip them. He's going to chip them and dip them.
Welcome to the inoculations.
Anyway, it says, now fornication means to go to bed, a nation going to bed with another nation, meaning they have relations, meaning they do trade. They're allies. And it says for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of fornication. Now, how have they did that? It says for all nations. You might know only China and the Arab, certain Arab nations, not all of them. The Afghans and bullshit. Bullshit, Mr. Handman. The Afghans made a treaty with Esau. The people of Iran, the people of Iraq, the African nations. How do we know this? Because they're gonna come over. They're coming over here in another week or two for the General Assembly at the UN, which is in America, which is in New York, and they all sit down. They all have their nameplates. So that's them coming together. And most of them are wearing suits. Some of them are starting to wear going back to their garbs, their regalia. But a lot of them, most of them are wearing suits and ties. Except for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of fornication. So the wine, they became drunk off of the wine, which is the Americanization or the Europeanization or the westernization of this system. That's why most of the times you'll see them wearing suits and ties. And so for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of a fornication, meaning they're allied to these people. They make backdoor deals. I mean, I thought that they're making a deal with the Taliban. I thought the Taliban, was the worst terrorist group out there. What the hell are you making a deal for them? Oh, they sat down with us and they're going to allow certain Americans. No. What happens behind the scenes? That's what you got to look for. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. The her is America, Babylon. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. So let's deal with the word merchants.
Strong's G 1713,
Emperas, which means, that's where you get the word emperor. And it really means command, but it also means, like you have certain stores that are called a rug emporium, which is another way of saying rug merchant. But now when you go into that word, it means one on a journey, whether by sea or by land, especially for trade, a merchant as opposed to a retailer or petty tradesman. A retailer or a petty, Macy's is a retailer. They get their merchandise from the merchants on the other side of the world, mainly China, India. That's where they get their merchandise from. So it's not talking about some guy that owns a hardware store down the block. It's not even talking about Macy's, because Macy's is a retailer. A merchant is more of a wholesaler in the biggest sense, because what the Chinese do when they come from the uttermost east to the west, they come in cargo ships with cargo. And there's a big mess over there now with the cargo's not coming in. Kamala Harris said, buy your Christmas gifts early, because they're looking at the fact that you might not get these, like when you go to BJ's and Sam's Club or Costco's or Walmart or any of these major big box. Hold up. Hey, this will be a part 2. Anyway, bear me for a minute. Anyway, let's come back. So now you understand why China, the world looked down on China. The rickshaw drivers and China was looked down, farm, mostly farm, agriculture, humble type people that even the America used for the building of the railroad from the east going to the west. And a lot of Moabites had died in building, helping to build a railroad system. They were basically slaves. So now you have, this happened after the meeting with Nixon back in, I believe it was 72, with, and if you look, you put in Nixon and Mao, you got pictures of them shaking hands and all that. And I'm trying to picture it in my mind. But anyway, when that happened, there was a great expansion in China for manufacturing, because it was cheap labor. Now, when you go back to the 70s, mid-70s, you had a gas crisis in 73, and then you had the Japanese imports coming to America. And the gas prices went up sky high. I remember them going up like $2. And maybe a couple of months before that, the gas was like, the regular gas, which was leaded, was 35 cents, 30 cents. At one time it was 25 cents. And with that crisis, you had gas lines, and if you had a license plate that ended with an odd number, you come on an odd day, like on a Wednesday or Monday. And if it was an even number, you came on an even day, maybe Tuesday, Thursday, or whatever. And they had gas. I remember they had these lines to get gas, and then gas went up, and people didn't complain too much because they needed that gas. because you had to wait on a long line. And that was during the time period where these companies that you thought went out of business actually went on the other side of the world. All the major manufacturing companies, or the majority of them, are, how can you say, the majority of them are over there, mainly in China. Mainly in China. Those ships are coming back from China. So it goes on to say, the wrath of fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Now, when I clicked on Apostle Aram Rab's video, he was going through delicacies. Now, delicacies, it said these nations, mainly China, the super rich, the newfound wealth of the Chinese people. You had maybe a poor Chinese boy from a poor family that became a billionaire. So what they do is they live that luxurious life, that abundant life. It says, and third verse, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the merchants of the earth, of the nations, mainly China. We're focusing on China. Merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And then I'm going to close on this. I'll probably come back. So I left off at the third verse. Let's see what happens. Because I believe Apostle Rama had covered that. But the Spirit, this is the Spirit. So, okay, let me listen to the word here.
Strong's G 4764. Strenas.
Which means excessive strength, which longs to break forth, overstrength, luxury, eager desire. You want something. You don't want just no regular car. You want the best. You hit with Jake. Man, when Jake, this guy, I'll give you an example. And Johannesburg ran into him at Auto World in Long Island City. There's this big car dealership. I think it's called Auto World or something like that. These have commercials. But I've been there a couple of times, and you get lost in there. There's so many cars. There's literally thousands of cars in the lot. You got the new cars, you got the pre-owned, you got the used. So this guy Johnson, he was a light heavyweight, and I believe he had knocked out Roy Jones. Remember when Roy Jones was getting knocked out left and right? After Tarver knocked him out, he had a fight with Johnson, which was a Benjaminite, had a thick Benjaminite accent, and he knocked out Roy Jones on a Saturday night. And that Monday morning, he was at the Auto World or whatever, the Major World. He was there looking at a Hummer. He was looking to get a brand new Hummer. Why? Because they cut him that check. So when Jay come in the money, when they hit the lotto, one of the first places, they don't go to the supermarket, they go to the car dealership. They go to the car dealership and they look for a house. They live in their projects, they're looking for a house upstate somewhere. Somewhere in Westchester, they might go to Connecticut, they might go back down south. These Benjaminites, they'll come over here and make money, whether they have a West Indian restaurant or they deal in drugs or whatever the case may be, and they make so much money that they build a mansion for cheap down there in Jamaica. Now, I had picked up one individual, Benjamin's brother, and I picked him up. I took him to the airport, and I said, in my mind, I said, this guy might be he owns a Benjamin restaurant, right? So I said, well, what do you do for a living? Because he had a nice house in America, you know. And he said, I own, I think he said 5 Golden Crusts. And one of the Golden Crusts that he owned, I used to go to all the time on White Plains. It was at White Plains Road in the Bronx. And he was one of the owners, so we were getting to talking. And he said, look, man, here's my number. Give me a call when you come down there. I'm going to get you free food. You know, we like, you know, we chopped it up, you know. But anyway, this guy, and when he came out the car, I wanted to laugh because he had all the clothes that he had like a Gucci bag. He had all the shit that he wore was stuff like the shirt that he wore had to be about $150, $500. The pants, he had these shoes, everything was designer, man. Everything was designer. And the dude was happy. Why? Because of the delicacies. The matter of fact, like I said, let me go ahead and let you hear this again.
Strong's G 4764 Strenas,
which means delicacy. It also means luxury or eager desire. You desire to get this, you know. Oh, he was telling me that his door, he said, you want to know how much I paid for that door? He said $30,000 for the door of his house, and it was an impressive door. So if he paid $30,000 for a door, what was the cost of the whole house? It had to be a couple $1 million. Then he was telling me about the founder that had committed suicide. He broke it down to me. I'm not going to tell you, it's not important, but he was suffering from a mental condition because he thought people were after him. And he said, you think I live good? The owner, oh my goodness. That man got a couple of houses in America. He got a couple of houses in Jamaica. You know, he was telling me of the wealth that he had. But anyway, the key word here is luxury, right? So let's deal with the word luxury. And then I'm going to close it. Okay, here we go. Okay, there's an article. LeBron James admitted he was the cheapest player in the NBA. I'm not paying for it. Well, that's good, because he wanted to keep his money. That's that luxury. Don't let me go on the Bhagwan Rajneesh inside joke. Okay, so let's go to Google. Luxury. Let's look up the word luxury. Shit, I'm supposed to be somewhere, but luxury, the state of great comfort and extravagant living. He lived a life of luxury. This one famous Israelite said, you got to have the best. So he wanted luxury. And a lot of these people that sell out, they sell out. You know that they sold out when they pushing a Maybach or a Lamborghini. You know, they're living in like happened to Comfy. Comfy was living a luxurious life. And the Most High took his ass out. Just like the parable, old fool, you thought that you were going to live. The parable of the man that broke down one barn and built a bigger barn. And the Most High called him a fool. He said, don't you know that this is the night of your death? So you died, and you didn't benefit from them luxuries. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.
And that's just it, you see. The luxurious life is about to come to its end. I mean, both rich and poor, well, they're all getting a taste of this, right? Because look at what's happening with football players. They've been caving in, you know, even though they said that they wasn't going to get it, they went and got it, you know. And, you know, we don't want your luxuries, because at the end of the day, it couldn't save you. It certainly didn't save all those that died, you know, after receiving it. Daniel chapter 12, verse 1, And at that time Michael shall stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to the same time, and at the time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. You know? And that's just it. You know, we're coming into that time. Verse 10, Many shall be purified and made white. You know, we're going to be brought back to righteousness. Those that are keeping the commandments of the Most High and are not caving in, you know, to try to get that luxury of, you know, which ain't really shit now. You know, you can't really do much of anything unless you receive that you know what. But the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand. And you try to explain this shit to them and they don't want to listen to you. But the wise shall understand, which is why we're still going out there and teaching, even though we're seeing everything come to pass. So, either way, though, there was certain well, pretty much, though, there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there's a nation, even to the time at thy people. It just doesn't say the word Jacob's trouble, but it is talking about Jacob's trouble. That's, I was just trying too much to look for it. But everyone that shall be found written in the book. So you want your name to be written in the book. You're not worried about the luxuries that Babylon has to offer. What does it have to offer now? Can't really do anything with it now. So you're seeing Babylon come to its end. So I hope all this has been edifying like everything else, though. You know, we're going to just see what the ramifications of Biden's new policies are going to be. Shalom.